The House of Representatives has been without a leader for almost 3 weeks now. And with the first two frontrunners, Steve Scalise and Jim Jordan, now out of the picture, it seems that the floodgates have opened. 9 Republicans have thrown their hat in the ring to be their party's third nominee for Speaker of the House. And as Congress's attempts to send aid to Israel are slowed down by a leaderless House, the Pentagon is making moves. We do want to talk now about this tumultuous House Speaker race and how it's impacting aid going to Israel. We're speaking with Niall Stanage, White House columnist at The Hill. Niall, thanks so much for being here.
Good to be with you, Natasha.
Now, there are these 9 candidates for House Speaker. Who do you see as a front runner at this point? Who do you think is the best qualified?
It's very difficult to pick a front runner. Tom Emmer, the House Majority Whip, would be, I suppose, the most obvious person to name. But with a 9-person field, it is very difficult to pick a likely winner. And it is also difficult to determine whether whoever emerges out of the 9 will be able to get to the magic number. Remember, whoever is the Republican Party's official nominee for Speaker can only afford to lose 4 votes from his own side. That is a very tight needle to thread, especially when it is now, as you say, open season in terms of who is contesting for this position.
And Patrick McHenry said his goal is for a floor vote as soon as Tuesday. How realistic is it that with 9 candidates, any of them could amass a majority of votes by Tuesday?
I think that's the most optimistic statement I've heard out of Congress in a very, very long time. I don't expect that there's really any realistic prospect of having a speaker by Tuesday. Now, we could all be proven wrong. Maybe the Republican Party will miraculously coalesce around one of these people. But you look at the field, you look at the fact that there isn't a really obvious frontrunner, you look at the fact that they represent slightly different strands of the party in some kind. Goodness, it's a very uphill climb to get a speaker by Tuesday.
Yeah, and according to Gallup, Congress's approval rating by the American public recently measured at 17%. How is this impacting things, and what does Congress need to do to regain the trust of the American public?
Certainly not improving anything. I mean, it is, if anything, copper fastening the reputation of Congress for dysfunction and disorder and paralysis. And that obviously is a problem. It isn't just that Congress has low approval ratings. Many of the institutions in American society have low approval ratings. Now, explaining why that is the case would take us a long time. But the fact of the matter is we have very important issues facing this country domestically and internationally. And the House of Representatives is essentially frozen in place because of the lack of a speaker.
I'm so glad you broadened it out, because you're right. Recent polls of Americans indicate a loss of faith in so many of the country's core institutions, not just Congress, the Supreme Court, police, organized religion, even on that list. It goes on and on. What do you attribute this to in this moment in time? Do you feel it's a temporary phase or something more permanent?
I actually think it has been building for quite a long time. I mean, I know we have a short space of time here, but if you think about the events of, say, the past 2 decades, look at how many times the official version of things was wrong. After 9/11, we went into Iraq to secure weapons of mass destruction, which didn't exist. A few years later, people were told, don't worry about those tremors in financial markets, it's all sound. It wasn't. Then when COVID arose, you had a president saying it's all under control, a virus that killed 1 million Americans. So, you know, those things in themselves contribute to distrust, as does political polarization, as does the splintering of traditional media into social media and niche media. All those things allow people to inhabit their own realities. And I think it also hollows out faith in authority.
Niall, I think that's so well said. And also, you could write multiple dissertations on this. It's such a large topic. I do want to end with one more question for you. Let's say a House Speaker is selected at the next floor vote. What should they do on day 1?
I think one of the most pressing things will be this package that is seeking to tie aid to Israel, aid to Ukraine, and money for border security. That obviously is going to be top of the agenda legislatively. What they have to do, assuming, of course, it is a Republican, which is a 99% certainty, they have to find some way to try to bind up the wounds in their party, wounds that have existed for quite some time, but have been deepened through this debacle that began with the ousting of Kevin McCarthy and has now passed through all the events that you mentioned in your introduction.
Yeah, you called it a carnival of chaos last night, and that phrase has been sticking in my mind. Niall Stanage, always appreciate it. Great to see you. Have a great evening.
You too, Natasha.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.